Hey, flower friends. Thanks for joining me today with What Am I Planting Now? How beautiful is this? Y'all, I love looking at trays of little baby plants as much as I do looking at fields of flowers. I don't know about you. This is one of the things that I'm going to show you how I plant or seed start, and maybe even a little bit about how I grow cut flower kale, which is one of a few things that we're starting right here on the farm today. So you see how some is taller than the rest? The back here was actually started on the 15th, which was 7 days ago. And then I didn't get finished. I did it on a live and only did part of it. And then like 4 days, so that was on a Wednesday. On Friday, the following, which is 2 days later, that's when all of this got sown. And they're just quick. I absolutely adore cut flower kale. So friends, welcome. If we've never met before, my name is Lisa Mason Ziegler. Let me fix my, and I'm the owner, founder of the Gardener's Workshop, which began very innocently and naively, like back in 1998. I was a city flower farmer. I was a city girl thinking I was going to launch a flower farm, which in fact I did do. And so my business, I started growing and selling cut flowers, all outdoors in a garden. That's what kind of sets me apart. I can't have any hoop or greenhouses. So everything you hear me say, how to do stuff, most people can apply that to them in their home garden. And one thing led to another, and then I went on to become an author and as well as an online course instructor. And we have just created this monster educational equipping platform called thegardenersworkshop.com, which is our website that you can just find everything that you could possibly ever want about growing cut flowers, whether you're growing for profit or for pleasure. We have it all for you. And that's our mission. We do everything we do for you, for reals. So today I'm going to be talking about and sharing what are we actually starting? What seeds are we starting on the farm right now? We're in July 22nd. What are we still starting? And what are we doing? And so if you've never joined us here before, you may not realize that you can actually shop the items that you hear me mention. And so if you're on a phone, you may not be able to see the little ribbon of items below the video. You can close the comment box and that'll reveal that for you. But anyway, so if you are in need or want the seeds, what have you, you can actually shop that. So I want to first just run through the warm season tender annual seeds that we are still starting here on my farm. And one of my very favorite grasses to grow is called limelight millet. And I have a picture of it here. Why is it my all-time favorite? Look at the color, y'all. This is an incredibly useful color. It's lime green. And you will frequently see it, and I do it. You let it grow beyond this stage. So when you see it, it's hanging down with a big old seedy head. This, my friends, is in fact the way that I prefer to use it. See how this one is just coming out of the leaves that it's around, and when it's like, and it's still upright, that's when it's the most useful. If you're doing a bouquet program, I mean, if you're doing mixed bouquets every week for market or whatever, this is the stage that I found that it was incredibly useful in. And so this is limelight millet. And it is about the same timeline as the sunflowers we're getting ready to look at. And in fact, we would start a plug tray of these every week when we were starting 10 plug trays of sunflowers every week. We could just use this, having a green spike to put in your bouquet. People just love it. So that's limelight millet. And it is just that is a lifelong favorite. I have grown that one for years. And then the other thing that I want people, I think it's one of the most underused, unknown, best kept secrets, whatever you want to call it, in the farming world, as well as for home gardeners, is sunflowers, y'all. The sunflowers that we grow and the way that we grow them is what sets us apart from all the other sunflowers that are available in the world. And it's because with the way that we plant them, we make, I have some, y'all. This is the sunflower that every bouquet maker, commercial customer you've ever had dreams of. See the size of this? Look how small that is. And guess what? If I had just planted this same sunflower seed that grew this one, planted that transplant just 6 inches apart, further apart in all directions, it would be that big. And in fact, I'm going to take a picture. I have a neighbor that grows our sunflower, grows from our sunflowers. And she has the biggest whopper sunflower. And it's this exact sunflower. It's all about the spacing, y'all. And that's what really sets you apart. So I'm going to I also want to show you these. So that was from the bouquet mix, which is 4 pro-cut sunflowers in the orange family. And look at this, y'all. These are called Sunfill sunflowers. They're not pro-cuts, but they do the same 60 days from seed to bloom. And this is why we grow them. Look at this bud. We grow these for filler. They do go on to develop a really funky sunflower look, but they're totally useful. Our aim every week was to have one of these to put into every mixed bouquet to just take up space, right? Let me show you what it looks like. I think I have it here. No, I don't. What it looks like, it's a very tropical looking sunflower. My sister absolutely loves it. I love it because of this stage. So this is called Sunfill Green. And there's also Sunfill Purple, which I think is available here. And the only difference between the green and the purple is that the foliage is darker green of the purple. And there's actually like a brush of purple on the foliage. And the center, which you can't really see that down in there, it's actually really light colored on the green, and the purple, that's dark. So it's perfect for fall, right? So here's the moral to our story. We start sunflowers every week up until the very latest date. And for us, that's about 60 days before my first frost. So you need to know when your first frost is. Mine's mid-November. So that means that I'm going to be starting weekly pro cuts every week up until at least 60 days before November 15th. So that would mean mid-September. But I, in fact, push the envelope and go 2 weeks past that because you know what? Those frosts don't always come when they're supposed to anymore. But let's look at some of these different pro cuts. So if you've never grown pro cut sunflowers, this is the seed packet that I would recommend that you start with. This is the pro cut mix. We make this in-house at the Gardener's Workshop because it's not available anywhere else. And we mix equal amounts of all 14 different colors. And y'all, this is just a great way to meet the sunflowers. It's got the different colors in here, all the oranges. It's got the whites. There's white light and white night. We call this chocolate, but it's officially called red. But you get to meet all of them. And in fact, starting next week, I think I'll be starting this particular mix probably 2 or 3 times once a week. It just gives us great diversity. We just absolutely love it. So that's the mix. And you, again, can see all of these seed packets available right below the video. So this is the one I was over on TikTok earlier and I started sunflowers and I started this one. This is what we call another custom mix by us, Fall Medley. And this has 5 colors and they're just perfect for fall, y'all. They're just perfect. The orange, the chocolate, and the 3 bicolors. And this way, you don't have to buy 5 separate seed packets. You know what I mean? You get to have all of them and you can meet them all. And it's just a perfect fit. Then the one that I'm going to be starting here with us today is what's called the bouquet mix. Again, these are all pro cut, y'all. The bouquet mix, there's like 4 different oranges in the Pro Cut series. They're all slightly different in some way, and we have mixed all 4 of them together. But literally, you could make these into a bouquet, and we did that quite routinely. So that's all the oranges, which is the most well-known, the classic sunflower that people recognize. I grow the bouquet mix for sure all summer. And now in fall, they work just as well. But here is one of my very favorite. This is one of the ones that's in the bouquet mix. This is called Brilliance. And I'm going to just hold it back a little bit for a minute. So first off, the center disc of this one is not quite as dark. But if you'll notice, there's like a halo of orange right around the edge here. And then the petals are lighter. Y'all, this one literally glows in the dark or in dusk outside in the garden. This has quickly won my heart. I mean, I love Brilliance. Again, it's a pro cut, right? All of these are from seed to harvest, like 60 days. And so that means they're quick. And what you need to know about sunflowers is you when you're doing this aiming to have them every week business, you don't jump around to different families of sunflowers because they all have different days to bloom. In fact, I mentioned earlier previously that we bought one year, there was a sunflower that came out called Ziggy, which is my husband's nickname. And I said, that would be perfect for us to sell that seed. Let's get it. Guess what? It was 120 days from seed to bloom. Why would anybody wait twice as long and let things happen to it than when you can grow a shorter grow one? So that's why we love Pro Cuts. They're quick and lots of colors. Now here is that Sunfill purple I was mentioning earlier. You see that it's just got like brushes of purple on the edges, and you can see here that the center is really dark, and that just really makes it perfect for fall. So there are more Pro Cuts you can choose from, but those are like my go-to fall guys. And I'm going to show you in a moment after we run through the cool flowers that I'm starting now. I'm going to show you how I actually start those, whether you're a flower farmer, and then we're going to actually look at how I plant kale. So let's get rid of those. Now, the cool season hardy annuals that we're starting right now still on the farm is the cut flower kale. And this is what that looks like. And I, in fact, wanted to really show you in the book. In my book, the Cut Flower Handbook, which is also available here. Look at all these kales, all the different varieties. And so my favorite is this one, which is the white, and this one, which is the red right here in the middle. Both are actually, it's rose. And I'll show you up close in just a moment, but there's lots of different varieties now. So the Cut Flower Handbook has a section on, it's one of the featured flowers. So it tells you varieties and all these tips that I'm just going to kind of hit on the highlights. But the white is definitely the most versatile. It goes with everything. And our aim is to have these come in mid-November. And the thing about it is they'll be really green until it gets cold outside. And when it gets its first light frost, that's what really brings the colors out. So that's the white. And look at this rose. I love this one. So imagine this. So this is still growing out in the field. When this picture was taken, I can see the netting right there. But just imagine all of this would be stripped off, all these excess leaves. And look what's left in the middle, y'all. It looks like a darn rose. And it's long lasting. And of course, these kales grow tall, right? That's the whole point, that they're great cut flowers. And then we have, there's a red version also. So cut flower kales are a great comp to have one of those, a white one to put in with some of your sunflowers, maybe some grass, along with all the warm season tender annuals that we already have planted. We have tons of cosmos and celosias and marigolds and ageratum that are all out in the garden this tall, that are coming along, that are going to be the perfect complement to all of these great fall blooming cool season hardy annuals. But I want to tell you, before we start demonstrating here, two cool flowers that don't follow the rules of all the other cool flowers. And they're two Sweet Williams, and they're biennials. There are actually perennial. So let's call it dianthus. All Sweet Williams are dianthus, right? Dianthus has perennials. It has biennials, and then it has what's called hardy annuals. And it's no wonder that we are confused, right? I mean, there's so many families that have this very same scenario. I classically do not grow many biennials. It just takes too long. They're awkward time to start them. They just have to be out in the field too long. It's the same reason I don't grow a lot of perennial or hardly any perennials. It's the weed pressure here in the South. We just can't. It's a lot of extra labor, and there's other choices that we can grow that don't require that. However, with Sweet William, there are two varieties of Sweet William that are biennials that are the most beautiful, in my opinion. And so right now is the time to start them. And who are we talking about? We're talking about Electron, which is perhaps the most commercially grown in the world Sweet William. And it's because of the amazing color selection. The scarlet red in here is just beautiful. The pinks, it's tall, and we absolutely love it. And then the other one, and I'll tell you how you grow them in just a second here. Look at this one. This is Super Duplex. Both of these guys are biennials. This one, I met this one first at Dave Dowling's farm. Well, when I was writing Cool Flowers, I was up at his farm taking pictures, and he wasn't there. And we didn't have phones back then, y'all. Did we have phones? We didn't text back then anyway. I sent him an email that said, "What is this flower?" It was so enormous and beautiful, and it was Super Duplex, y'all. And so they're both biennials, and while they have a couple of the same color scenarios, that's not the case for most. Just look at the difference. So both of these are biennials, and what that means is that the transplants need to be gotten in the ground a couple of months earlier than the classic hardy annual ones that we plant 6 weeks before our first frost, because these need cold treatment. It's called vernalization. And so we got to get them in the ground earlier, and so that they're established when the cold comes. And so what happens if you plant late, which I can talk about this because I've done it firsthand in more than one occasion. You forget to start them. You think maybe it's time. You start them. You plant them out in the garden, and they look fabulous, y'all. But guess what? Come next spring, they don't ever bloom. You just have a little green plant. That's because they didn't get their cold treatment. So I'm telling you, I start them now. They've just been started, and we will be getting them into the ground just as soon as they are big enough. So those are biennial Sweet Williams, Electron, and Super Duplex. And I call them the renegades because they just don't follow the rules, right? You totally love them. So I want to show you how, as flower farmers, we start sunflowers. And this is how we have done it. And I'm just going to do a couple because I want to show you also how I start kale. So we, in fact, start sunflowers, as most commercial growers do, right? In plug trays. And you'll see these are available from our store. These are 128, and they come in sets of 5. And I have filled it up with a 50-50 mix of compost and any soil mix, potting mix. You don't have to use seed starting mix. We use any potting mix 50-50 with compost. I typically buy a bag of compost and a bag of soil mix, and we mix them together in a big tub, and that's what I use to fill up my trays every week. And so why do farmers typically start transplants? It's just less work, y'all, with a better stand of plants. If you can plant them out in the field, no question. It just takes, they got to be watered. You have to protect them from birds getting them. And it has to be cultivated to keep the weed seeds that are going to be developing right alongside your sunflowers. And typically, if you don't, you have to oversow. That means you have to thin to actually get a good stand, because particularly with sunflowers, you want them spaced properly because you want to keep the blooms small, right? So maybe I'll just do this. All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys. So I'm just going to talk while I'm doing it. So I am just literally dropping a seed on the surface of every cell. And, sunflowers prefer to have their seeds covered with soil. They need darkness to do the best germinating. And so we'll complete that process in just a moment here. So after I finished planting all of these, oh, this is bouquet mix. That's right. After I finish planting these, I'll take them and water them in really thoroughly. And then even though it's hot outside, y'all, that's air temperature, I still pop them onto a seedling heat mat, which you can also find that available in our store. And you'll find that what happens for us is seeds germinate quicker, more uniformly, but even more importantly than that, particularly in sunflowers, they just grow a more vigorous root system. And the way that you know that's happening, have you ever gone to pull a plant from a plug tray and you feel like you're going to rip the stem from the roots? Well, when you have nice, strong roots, that doesn't happen. And that's what we have found by warming the soil with the seedling heat mat. That's what happens. So once 50% of the seeds show signs of life, then you move it from off the heat, and we move them outdoors. And y'all, I'm telling you, if you haven't heard me speak of this insect netting that we've been using the last couple of years, I'm just finding more and more and more uses for it. So I take my trays outside once they've started sprouting, and I put them down on the porch, water them really well, and then I cover them loosely with the insect netting and just tuck it up underneath the sides, underneath the tray. And that has 100% stopped the birds from plucking the leaves off the transplants, and the rabbits just coming up and just having a throwdown on my trays, right? So what's different about insect netting over row cover? Let me just tell you. So I'm a big row cover user in the winter, right? And so first, let me stop and tell you. So now I'm just placing my finger onto the seeds and I'm pushing them about halfway down into the cell, and that is going to set them up to be covered. So if you looked in there right now, you'd say, oh my gosh, I can still see some seeds. I better go get some more soil. No, you don't. When you take this tray and water it, it washes the soil that's off the walls of the cell, and that will complete that process, right? So back to my story. So row cover I'm a big row cover user. Row cover is made to, provide a little bit of protection from cold. Well, we've used row cover in different ways trying to protect our seedlings. And the problem I've always had is that the row cover, even the lightest Ag 19, just does not let in enough light. And quickly the sunflowers get tall and tangled because they're reaching for light, right? That does not happen with insect netting. Let me show you. So you can find this down below it's available. I literally take this out and just put it on top of my tray and tuck it in a little loosely. And sometimes I take it off to water and sometimes I don't. You'll have to use your own judgment on that. And it not only allows more light in, the insect netting, but it allows more heat out. I use insect netting, and it's for so many different things now, y'all. It is so great to work with. It's much more durable than any row cover, and it's stretchy like a pair of pantyhose. Absolutely love that. And I just wanted to show you, here's the seedling heat mat that we use. You can just put your tray down on it. It's got a built-in thermostat, and it just helps your seed to actually germinate quicker. So that's the steps that I'm going to do. When I plant them out in the field, we are planting, I do 30-inch wide beds. I plant 5 rows across the bed, and in the row, they're 6 inches apart. And that's what creates that just perfect size bloom that we are looking for as flower farmers and what our actual commercial customers are looking for. Now, I'm going to very quickly show you, because I'll tell you the way that I've started these kale. So here's what the story is on cut flower kale. Kale, if you do not plant it super close together, they grow way too big a stems that make my thumb look skinny, y'all. They grow thick stems and they grow huge heads. That is not what you want for cut flower kale. You want a stem no bigger than that, or maybe even a little smaller, and you want a head about that big once you strip it down. And to do that, you have to really pack them in tight. And so instead of starting individual seeds like in regular soil blocks, which you could do in the small block, just put one seed in, or one or two or three seeds in each small block, maybe two, and then plant them closer together. But you know me, as we have to become more and more efficient, I'm going to see if I can show y'all this. Y'all look at this. So this is a 1.5 inch block that was made with the Mini 27 that I'm getting ready to show you. So look at those roots. This is 7 days, right? And as you can see, I have planted 6 seeds in this little block. Now, what this is going to allow me to do is I am still going to plant on my 6-inch spacing, which I just told you was for my sunflowers. 5 rows across and then 6 inches apart in the row. We actually use our flower support netting as a planting grid. And instead of punching a bunch of holes in my biodegradable film, I will be able to punch one hole and plant 1.5 inch block. These are not going to be thinned. They're not going to be pulled apart. These are going to be just planted right in the center of that 6-inch square that we're using as a planting grid. It is so much quicker and easier. And I will share that the 1.5 inch Mini 27 blocker is it's not available to us anymore, and we're down to single digits. So I'm here to say, if you want a Mini 27, now's the time to strike. What else do I use the Mini 27 for? It is perfect for sweet peas, any larger seed item, or something like this. If you're doing single stem coxcomb, the same concept works. We use it for cuttings, and I'm just going to show you how I actually do this. I'm going to try to anyway. So let me fix this so you guys can actually see me. Maybe this is best. So I didn't check on the numbers before I came on, but I know that we still have at least one left because they were still showing up, right? So this is the commercial Mini 27 soil blocker. And this is the top tray. And just everything about this process is just streamlined, right? So I place the blocker in the tray. What did I not get? I did not get my gloves. Wait a minute, y'all. I have to have gloves to do this because if I get my hands muddy, then I won't be able to stand out. Oh, here they are. All right. So in here is the very same blocking mix that I use for all my soil blocking, the same blocking mix, same consistency. I have placed the tray, the blocker in the tray. And in fact, I don't know if they're still there, but there was a kit where you could get 5 of these green trays, which we import those from England. We love these trays, y'all. They're for life. And so I'm going to just start filling the blocker. And I'm just scooping up mix and pushing it down. And it's a little wetter than it should be. I realized at the last minute that maybe I didn't have enough mix in the tray here to make the blockers. So I added more and I put too much water. And so what the point is for doing this is you want to pay special attention to filling the end blocks. That's usually where you push them out and there's some blocks that don't look so great. It's because you just didn't think about that the end blocks and those on the edge might not be getting as much mix as some of the others. And I try to be pretty careful to try, I don't always do it though, to try to not spill a lot of soil over the edge, because then you just have to clean it out. It just makes watering a little bit more of a mess. So friends, I'm not sure we got them all filled, but we're going with it. So I use my hand, scrape off any excess, Don't know if there's any more of these available, but there's a scraper, which I'm grabbing, which is made to scrape the excess off. And you just put that back. And I did not sift this, so we'll see if there's any little sticks crossing over. So, all right, so my tray is full. And I am going to, in fact, just drop my tray in. And I am going to literally just give a squeeze, and y'all aren't going to believe it. Let me come around and show you what we just made in that just a nanosecond. So this is definitely a commercial grower tool. Wait a minute, y'all. Let me move you back a little bit. Look at that. We just made 27 of the 1.5 inch blocks. And it's just that simple and easy. So, and I'll tell you that, I've got dirt all over me. Normally, and I think I demonstrated it earlier on a previous video, where you would dump the seeds into a seed pan. Our standard way to start seeds, you use a seed pan because it's aluminum. But I think that kale seeds are big enough, and I'm just going to try it. So we are actually, I guess I need to get something here so you guys can see. Y'all, when you start doing this kind of stuff, demonstrating on videos, you get so much more respect for those people cooking on TV. It's like, of course, they have a whole staff, right? I'm here by myself, but to be able to do all this stuff. So what I did for that tray that I showed you, and I'm experimenting right here with you today, guys. Because these seeds are brown, which means I can see them. Kale seeds need to be covered with soil. So I think it might be easier. Maybe. We'll see. Now I need a toothpick. No toothpick. Here it is. The way that you cover a seed that says it needs to have soil on it, it'll say either needs darkness or cover with soil. Our instructions say cover with soil. Is you literally just push the seed down into the block further. It's pretty easy. So I can see the seed, and I'm literally just pushing it down into the block. That's easy because it just takes more time to get a seed on the toothpick because these seeds are borderline a little bit bigger. So that's literally how I would sow all this kale. And again, this is what we're going to get. So each block has 6 little seedlings that are going to stay just like that. They are not going to be split. They're not going to be thinned. I then plant this block, whole thing, 1 every 6 inches in all directions. That means on my 30-inch wide bed, and I might even put 6, because I will tell you that every year it's growing kale. Kale is one of the fastest sprouting seeds that we start, but it's a little challenging to grow. First off, you have to use support netting. It'll lodge, lay down, and turn in a second. So we install support netting really quickly. But I've also learned that the closer together they are, the less that kind of stuff happens. Even last year, some of our heads were just way too big. And I said, I'm just going to put, so normally I would only put 4 seeds in that block. Well, this year we put 6. And when I finish this tray, I may put 8, because you want skinny stems and small heads on this stuff, right? And be sure to use plant support netting. And the other thing about kale that nobody told me, and I couldn't figure it out when I first started growing it 20 years ago, was it doesn't color up like how some of them are white and some of them are red and some of them are rose. That happens as the temperatures start to drop. Like when it gets its first soft frost on these guys, which it'll take, that's when all of a sudden they just get beautiful. I was cutting them way too soon. But that also, if you have uses for them, that just means you have a wider window of when you can cut it. So, friends, I hope that has helped you to know what can you plant now. Sunflowers weekly up until 60 days before your first frost if you're growing pro cuts like we are, right? Don't forget to plant those biennial sweet Williams, which is electron and super duplex, the most cut flower grown varieties ever. And there's a reason for that, right? Y'all have to move this stuff. I don't like it being in front of me. Soil makes my nose itch, and not all about that. And cut flower kale, just know this. I can almost promise you, if it's your first time, if you're not an out of the gate success, you're like the rest of the world. It took me a couple, 3 years to actually figure out how to grow great cut flower kale. Okay, so expect that. Again, I want to just say that my book, The Cut Flower Handbook, has sunflower details on how to grow them weekly as a flower farmer and as a home gardener. It also has detailed kale information, but y'all, it has detailed information on all 66 of the flowers that's featured in here. These are all cut flower variety annuals, 41 cool, 25 warm, and would love for you to get one of those. And the thing that I don't want you to miss out on right now, I'm doing a free live webinar all about, if you've never met cool flowers. This is the first book I ever wrote over 11 years ago. Actually, I wrote it 13 years ago. It was published 11 years ago. And it's about the cool flower concept is how you grow cool season hardy annuals. That means, like, when should you plant them? The reason that so many of these flowers just fell off everybody's radar is because of their awkward planting time. And it is so difficult to kind of manage all of that. You figure out, you figure out in the book when you're supposed to plant, right? And then you think there's no way that's right. And it's because it's awkward. And that's what started me teaching this once a year free live webinar called When Do You Plant Cool Flowers? You sign up, go over to my website. Maybe Jesse will actually put the link here in the comments. But afterwards, I'm not sure that that's available. So you can go over to our website, thegardenersworkshop.com. The link to register is at the top of every web page. And this is what we're going to do. So you sign up and we email you, and there is a PDF in there it's called the Guiding Light Worksheet. Print it out. Fill out the top 3 lines. I tell you how to get that information, right? And bring that worksheet to the live webinar. And we are literally step by step going to work through the worksheet. And when you are done, you're going to have your cool flower planting windows. And so, in addition, for showing up to the live webinar, we're also will email you after the webinar, which is great. It's a list of all the cool flowers. And based on what we learned during the webinar from your worksheet, you're going to know what you can and can't fall plant and what everybody can plant in very early spring. So friends, I would love for you to be there for it. It's one of the funnest webinars that I have ever taught, and I've taught a lot of webinars, and it's because you are going to walk away with tangible information, and it's going to change your world. If you're a flower farmer and you're not embracing the cool season hardy annuals, you're missing out on the biggest cash crop of the year, grown outside in a field, y'all. We're talking about bells of Ireland, sweet peas, snapdragons, lysianthus, just to name a few, kale, sweet Williams. There's just so many, and most of them, in fact, bloom in the highest demand season of the year, which is spring. And if you're a home gardener, maybe you're somebody that is going to have your home is going to be on a spring tour. This is the family of flowers that you should be planting to have a true garden coming along or blooming in your garden for spring. So grab a book if you don't have one. It's an easy read, y'all. It's 160 pages, I think. This is baby step 1. And then baby step 2 is the cut flower handbook, because it goes deeper into the cool flower concept. And then when you do the webinar, you'll just really wrap your head around the process of when you actually grow. Because I will tell you that if you don't plant at the right time, there is nothing to do to overcome it. You know, people, I mean, I know this because we counsel people constantly. Look at this. Cool flower, that's Nigella. Cool flower, that's Godicia. Cool flower, that's Lizzie Anthus. Y'all, there are so many gorgeous cool flowers. It's pretty amazing. And if you don't plant at the right time, you'll never experience the tall stems, the abundant blooms, no pest and disease issues like you do when you plant them at the wrong time. It'll just change everything. So friends, head to thegardenersworkshop.com. It's at the top of every page. It is free to attend the webinar. There's 3 different ones. The first one is this Friday. I'll save the date for people watching replays. Today is July 22nd of 2025, and this is available over the next 10 days, and then we're done, you know, for a year. So don't miss the opportunity. And cool flowers, I'm telling you. And if you are a home gardener or just somebody that loves pollinators and want to do your part, this is the family of flowers that blooms when bees and pollinators are their hungriest, because there's nothing blooming early. We're talking Iceland poppies, bachelor buttons, just covered in the bees. And here at my place, the end of March, early April. So friends, I hope to see you inside When Do You Plant Cool Flowers? Check it out, thegardenersworkshop.com. And till we meet again, friends. Ciao.